Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain chapter 9, which is about creating and operating uh, Oracle database. And we'll learn basic command to create and start and stop and restart the database. So first, I'm going to revisit installation of Oracle because in the process, it is possible to create Oracle database and still you're available to create new database, but they two process have common settings that you need to choose. So we'll see the process to install Oracle database again, and we will create uh, we have to create super user which is granted as the database operator or database admin, and using the Oracle root user or Oracle DBA user, you are available to start and stop and restart the database. So by default, when you install Oracle, you have to use Universal Installer, which is for most of our operating systems like Windows, Linux, and Mac. And the process after installation is completed, all required files will be copied Oracle Home. Oracle Home, which I chose C colon/Oracle as my Oracle Home. So what you have to do is you have to choose it's better to if you clean install Oracle, you have to choose this one, create configure and database. Then enterprise, well, this screenshot shows slightly old universal installer, but basically what you have to choose is the same enterprise, and you have to create passwords for DBA operator, background DBA, and another DBA group and other system accounts. Okay, so and another application which allows for you to create the database is database configuration assistant. And using the tool, if you didn't choose create new database while you installed Oracle database, it is still possible to create new Oracle database. Okay, so that application is called DBCA, the Oracle Database Configuration Assistant, and that is also coded in Java. So that application is universal for many of different operating systems. Okay, so that is screen or screenshots of the DBCA. And if you run the application to create new database, the remaining process are actually seen. You have to choose, we have to change Unicode. You have to change your character set from the default to Unicode. So Unicode 8 is the strongly recommended character set. And you have to decide password. Normally you have to choose pretty complicated password, but for practice purpose, you don't need to have complicated password. So it's better to choose simple password for practice. And you have to keep the password in safe place, okay, because you don't want to forget the password. And This process requires for you to decide passwords for many of DBA accounts group. So you shouldn't forget the passwords for different Oracle database operator and admin groups. Okay. So if you choose container database, then you can connect other database to your database, but we only have a one database server and just one machine. So we can't choose container database. All right, and you also need to uh, decide where new database file will be created and Oracle base will be ideal. Okay, and you can choose automatic storage management, which is called ASM, but file system file system is still useful or better option for decided type of storage, because if you choose ASM, then you can't go the file level to manage your database. So file system is still better than ASM. But if you don't like to manage file systems or file level, if you don't do that file level task, then you can choose this one. But to take the OCA or to prepare for the OCA exam, it's better to choose this one. Otherwise, you can't do other exercises. Okay. And if you have enough space and resource, it's better to allocate more memory or RAM to Oracle database. But our VM has limited resource, so you don't need to change anything about the database memory configuration. And then you have to make sure the other options are perfect. By seeing these parameters, you have to check out what options you chose. And then finally, the Oracle install will show, or DBCA will show, the summary of your new database. So database is more, well, you may be confused. What's the difference between instance and database? Database may contain multiple instances, and uh, let's say you have supercomputer, okay, or you're an operator of data center, and you're managing really large, really fast computer or workstation. And if you have just one database with multiple instances, then it is uh, it is considered that you don't uh, fully utilize your machine or your workstation or supercomputer. So you can create multiple database for different group of customers or different customers. So if you think your computer has enough resource to create multiple database, you can create multiple two or more than two database for different user groups or different clients or different organizations. So next step is what data dictionary available. Okay, so if the view, once you create a new database, and you should be able to log in as a system admin or Oracle admin, and we'll do the next step is your second assignment is creating a super user. Super user is not an academic term. Actually, it is industrial term, or sometimes it is called root, or it is called admin or DBA admin. Whatever names are fine, but prefer to call it super user, which have multiple DBA privileges. So you have to create your own super user account. Okay, it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to start with info 45. You can create your own name. You can use your name to create a super user account. And once you create a super user account, you can go, you can find what system views are available. And if start with the view, start with DBA underscore, it is everything about the database. And so it contains a lot of useful system information. Okay, and that is only for DBA. If the view start with or, then the views are accessible for most of the users. Okay, and the user view is only for user, and CDB is database view when you create container, when you create your database as container. So because we didn't choose container option when we create new database. uh, okay, yeah, here we didn't choose it, right? So maybe the views start with CDB doesn't show a lot of information to us. Okay, so you have to think, you have to see the boundary and scope of each different group of views. Okay, user or DBA, CDB. So in other words, if you are DBA, then you are available to look in user objects and all objects as well. But users are not available to look at DBA. And in some case, they are available to look at views or system views within the group of OR. All right, and dynamic performance view shows current database activity and status. And what you can see in the view, what views shows that or contain the information is should start with V dollar, okay, or V underscore dollar. So if the view start with V underscore S, the views the views show dynamic performance information, and that the views are linked with system dynamic performance tables begin with X as X dollar. The X dollar contains row information, row data. So it's better to see the views. Okay, and the views are not, may not be available for the users. So there are some public synonyms which start with V dollar. So as a system admin, what you can do for the other users is make them available to access public synonym, which is start with view dollar. Okay. And these views or tables are created by running catalog SQL, and that is already executed when you create new database. So you don't need to run catalog SQL again. And CatPro SQL create system record for system PLSQL. Okay, PLSQLs, which is for system management. All right. And the P file is available in the of your folder, right? In each folder of instance name. So if you go to Oracle and your instance name, then you'll be able to find P file. And So there are several ways to see current status and monitor performance or your database. First thing is using SQL Plus and run select statement which join multiple system performance views which of title start with view dollar. In that case, you need to memorize or you need to know what views are for your purpose, what views suits for your purpose. Otherwise, you can go to EM. Okay, so the second assignment is for making your superuser account to log in to your EM, because the EM shows a lot of have a lot of graphical interfaces, and also it shows graphs which explains current status, and if also it shows if there is any performance issue, and you can set up threshold. So if the resources are used more than threshold you decided, then it will send some notification to you, to your registered email. Okay, so EM is most useful application, and EM, you're not available to log in EM right now. You have to complete assignment 2 to log in EM. And to log in EM, you have to create superuser. And if you follow the directions in assignment 2, then you can create your superuser account to log in EM and to enjoy the other functions for DBAs. Okay. And but EM has it has advanced functions to monitor. But sometimes if you change critical settings, you need to start and you need to start your database, or you may need to apply and apply the new changes, and you also need to restart it. In that case, the only way to available for you to start and shut down and restart is using SQL Plus. And just like EM, you need super user again. Okay, so these are commands that you can run SQL Plus. Start, force, start, restrict, start, upgrade, or shut down and shut shut down. So you can look at the options for start up and shut down, and you can check out what's the difference between force these options: force, restrict, upgrade, downgrade. Okay, or shut down normal and transactional, or immediate and abort. So start first, what start first option does is shutting down and abort, then restart the database. And there are some more options for shutdown: normal, transactional, and immediate and abort. So if you shut down your database with normal option, your database will wait until all transactions are completed. That means you may need to wait. You may need to wait for more some minutes or hours. If there's very long and there's transaction which takes long time, then you cannot shut down your data your Oracle database immediately using normal option. Okay, and you have to see the differences between those options. Shutdown transactional, it's more aggressive than normal shutdown. Okay. So if you shut down Oracle database with transaction option, new transactions, new Oracle connections are not available. So that means your current transactions, your current sessions are the only session before Oracle database is shutting down. Okay, a new transaction is not allowed. So if you have multiple transactions are still, if there is a sub transaction under under certain transaction, the later transaction won't be executed properly. So if you when you choose transaction option or more aggressive option like immediate and abort, you have to see what sessions. You have to see the session information, and you also need to check out what is current their transaction on the sessions. Okay, and but to do those operations, start up, shut down, you have to log in as super user or Oracle admin using SQL Plus. Okay, so SQL Plus is only a way to start and shut down. But internally, if you restart your computer, your server machine, then your operating system of your server will automatically start Oracle database because Oracle is registered as application or background process should be started with your operating system. Okay. And alert logs, if you go to diagnostic dast RDBMS DB name, which is our database name, then you can find out logs. And by seeing the logs, you can find out what our problems have been occurred so far. Okay, and these are folders, dialog, RDBMS, and this is instance name, right? And we do have different instance name. Info 456 is our instance name. And if you run it, then it shows, if you run this query like view dialog info, it shows the path of folders or directories, which are related to dialog or diagnostic. Okay. So chapter 9 is explains what folders and how you can create of folders available to monitor your database or check out current status for your database. And also it shows what options you need to choose when you create new database. Okay, so from next chapter, we're going to look in more functions of application which are installed with Oracle database. But to use the applications and to do the management or manage your database, you have to create your super user account. Okay, and with this your super user account, we can go more deeper into Oracle database server. All right, well, thank you for watching video. Then I will see you in other video clip.